How do you fast? Fasting is so simple to learn, it takes 5 minutes, and yet you can practice it for a lifetime of benefits. But first, there are some people that really shouldn't fast. It's not appropriate for children, for pregnant women, or breastfeeding women. For the developing fetus and developing child, there's a real concern that they're not going to get enough vitamins and minerals. For those people, you definitely should not fast. Also, if you're severely underweight or clinically malnourished, then you should also not fast. That's not appropriate. But it's good for everybody else. Now, first of all, you have to realize that there's no single best regimen for fasting. It comes in all different lengths. There's no set length, and I divide them somewhat arbitrarily in terms of shorter fasts, which are less than 24 hours, and longer fasts. The shorter fasts are generally less powerful, but they're done more frequently, often daily. For the longer fasts, these are much more powerful, but yet you do them less frequently. For the daily fast, you can do, for instance, a daily 12-hour fast. For example, if you eat breakfast at 7 a.m. and eat dinner at 7 p.m., that gives you 12 hours where you're eating. And that's balanced by 12 hours of fasting. From 7 p.m. until the next morning at 7 a.m., you don't eat anything. And in essence, this is how we all used to eat. If you go back to the 1930s and 40s and 50s, we ate 3 meals a day with no snacks in between. You can extend that a little bit and go to 16 hours. So for example, if you skip breakfast, you might eat at 11 a.m. and go eat until 7 p.m. And that gives you an 8-hour eating window. And that leaves you 16 hours of the day where you're fasting. Sometimes this is called the lean gains method, after Martin Berkins, who had popularized this on his website leangains.com, and it's a very good regimen. If you extend that a little bit further, you might do a daily 20-hour fast. So, for example, you might eat 1 or 2 meals from 3 p.m. until 7 p.m. And again, leave 20 hours of the day for fasting. This is sometimes called the warrior diet, after the book of the same name. As you go into longer fasts, you can do 24-hour fasting period. So for example, you might eat dinner at 7 p.m. on day 1 and fast until 7 p.m. the next day. And these are very good. They're very easy to fit into your schedule. So for example, I do this perhaps twice a week. I like to have dinner with my family, and if I'm going to fast for longer periods of time, I might sit there while everybody else is eating, and it's very awkward. So I like this 24-hour fasting period because that still allows me to have dinner every night with my family. It's easy to fit into my life. Also, if you're taking medications and you need to take the medications with some food, you're still eating every day. A very similar method to the 24-hour fasting period is called the 5-2 diet. This was popularized by Dr. Michael Mosley of the UK. In this situation, you eat normally 5 days of the week, but on the other 2 days, which are considered the fasting days, you only take 25% of your normal calories. Technically, it's not a fast. However, it's close enough that it gives you many of the same benefits. I don't recommend that anybody go longer without really clearing it with their doctors, particularly if you're diabetic or if you're taking medications. As you push it longer, you can do a 36-hour fasting period. This is sometimes called alternate daily fasting. So, for example, on day 1, if you finish dinner at 7 p.m., you'll skip breakfast, lunch, and dinner of day 2 and not eat until breakfast of day 3. That gives you a 36-hour period where you're fasting. And if you skip breakfast on day 3, you can push that to 42 hours. And after that, there's really no limit. You can go 3 days, you can go 5 days, you can go 7 days. The 7-day fasts are very popular, and they're often called cleanses, and they're often taken with various tonics that might help you. The world record for fasting lasted an almost unbelievable 382 days. During that entire time, he actually felt very well. All he took was a multivitamin. So what can you take during the fasting period? Well, obviously, you're not going to take any food. But there are certain things that are important to take. You must stay hydrated. So water is very important. You can drink still water, you can drink sparkling water, and you can flavor it with natural flavors such as lemon, cucumber, but try to avoid things like artificial sweeteners and artificial flavors, things like Tang, Crystal Light, those sort of things. stay away from those. Number 2, teas are great. Any kind of tea. Green tea, oolong tea, black tea, herbal teas, you can drink them hot or you can drink them cold. Number 3, coffee. You can take coffee hot or cold. In our clinic, we allow people to take a small amount of cream with their coffee. Technically, this is not a fast because it contains protein and it contains fat. So technically, you are breaking your fast. But the effect is so small that it doesn't seem to make a difference. And for some people, it really helps with the compliance. And 4, broths. Clear broths, you can make them with bones, you can make them with meats, or you can make them with vegetables. You can add any flavorings from vegetables, you can add ginger, you can add spices, salt, pepper. Those are all great. How do you break your fast? Well, it's important, particularly for the longer fast, that you have to break them gently. You might try eating a small handful of nuts or a small salad, and then wait a half an hour before you take your main meal. There's a real temptation sometimes for people when they're not used to fasting to eat a very large meal as soon as they break their fast. Often this will give them a stomach ache, so they won't do it more than once or twice. But really, the main thing to remember is that there's infinite flexibility. The longer you fast, the more effect you're going to see in terms of blood sugars and in terms of weight loss. So there really is no best regimen, but really the one that suits you the best. The important thing is to fit it into your schedule because fasting is just a part of life.